It was about time I packed my bags and left the boy at home and headed out on my own adventure across the country. This would be my first time heading and staying in California for a week with my Aunt Becky. I met my mom and my Aunt Laura out there, and we spent a week exploring all of the touristy things in San Francisco, like the bridge, Alcatraz, In-N-Out burgers. You know, what you do when you get to California. But to me, what was so special about this trip was really just being with my family and getting to hear about all of the stories that my family had and where we come from and learning about us. So let's go. Start off this journey by catching the bus to Boston. Logan International. It'll take you straight there from Portland, which is just so nice for me because that's where I needed to go. I flew Boston to San Francisco and then Becky picked me up. The time-hour difference is 3 hours when traveling from East Coast to West Coast. I will say that I felt there's a lot more coming back than going there, but it was really great. We had to wait a couple hours for my mom's flight to get in, but it was so exciting to see her and my Aunt Laura and to just be with them. My mom and Aunt Laura had a very adventurous start to their journey. Their flight from Roanoke to Charlotte did not actually fly out and was canceled, so they had to drive to Charlotte, and then they flew from Charlotte to San Francisco, and we picked them up at like 9 o'clock West Coast time. It was crazy, but we did end up getting to see the city at night, and it was gorgeous. 10 out of 10 recommend driving through San Francisco, at least across the Bay Bridge at night, because it was absolutely gorgeous and might have been one of our favorite things about the whole trip. We arrived at like 11 o'clock. Becky put out this unbelievable platter for us. It was crazy. She made this aloha dip with a bunch of fruit, and we had a cheese board. It was all so delicious. Shrimp. The whole week we were completely spoiled with food. We had enough to feed what they would say Cox's Army. Becky made this brownie trifle that we ate the entire week, and I actually ended up making it when I got back because I loved it so dang much. It's so easy to make. Leave you the recipe right here. Thank you, Betty Crocker. We actually had a fire in California. It was an amazing night to get there, and the next morning was just as good. We cheersed with mimosas and had fruit and bagels for breakfast.
Have a toast, girls.
Oh God, the fruit.
Here you go.
We are in California this week, and I'm so excited. Thanks so much for being here. Enjoy.
They have things for sale, but you can walk all the way around, and they have events here. You can have...
On the first day in California, we had to go to the Arboretum and experience all the succulents and beautiful plants and nature that can grow here, as it is very warm and dry, even though before we came here, it was a crazy wet week. I'm very thankful that it didn't rain at all while we were here, and we had the most beautiful weather. When I say it was absolutely gorgeous, it was probably like 50, no wind, beautiful blue skies every day. We were so incredibly lucky to have such an amazing week to visit California.
That is eucalyptus.
They had over 20 sections that you could visit and see each succulent. They described which terrain it grew in and the temperatures. It was all very interesting. Oh yeah, look at them. This is a self-guided tour, which is really fun, so you can go at your own pace and discover each plant on your own.
Is that it? That's
No.
That's this one down here. Aloe, ruba, blah blah. That's this.
We're here. And just being exposed to so many new succulents and so many plants and things that I'd never seen before. It was really gorgeous and beautiful to witness it all, and to be with my family to witness it. Back in the 1880s, this used to be a 400-acre walnut and pear farm that was working and functioning. And I just think it's so beautiful that it has transitioned into a place where plants can be kept and succulents can be maintained for generations to come to see and to study and to look at. There was a nursery there so that if you do live in the area, you could buy plants and take them home with you. You could buy succulents. There were all sorts of varieties, you know, expensive, non-expensive, little tiny succulents, big ones. It was all very cute. Afterwards, we went to La Pinata, which was Becky's favorite restaurant. She absolutely loves it. And it was so freaking delicious and very, very authentic. That was the pescado. It was a full fish. Like, could you believe that? We absolutely enjoyed our time here and would highly recommend.
California, here I come. Every heartbeat just like a drum. I hear your rhythm, you feel so near. California, all the senses clear.
We stopped in to the Hawaiian House of Music, which was Carol, one of Becky's really great friends' shop where she teaches ukulele lessons, and my mom even learned a little bit, so here is that.
Tiptoe through the tulips.
Get in there. Get in there.
And we put the overheads on so the
That was beautiful. Try do another one.
Okay, that's called a C chord. Okay. And when you strum across, you can experiment with if you like the way your thumb sounds, or you can use the back of your finger.
Oh, I have seen.
Yeah. Like.
Carol can play so many instruments, but she actually says that her favorite instrument is the ukulele because it just sounds so beautiful. For dinner, we had one of my favorite meals, homemade personal pan pizzas, baby. This is my absolute favorite way to make dinner.
little pizzas.
We're all making our own pizzas.
I wish we had the pizza maker. Well, it's 3 hours past you.
5:10.
I guess it's 4. It's 5:10. Add stuff to it. Alcatraz.
These pizzas were so delicious. We enjoyed each other's companies and ate our yummy dinner and headed to bed as our next day was going to be full of adventures.
I didn't think Becky had a cat.
What?
I hear a sound that I equate to being a cat.
A cat.
A cat meow. And I'm like, it wakes me up. And I hear it and I'm like, I'm laying there and I'm like, I didn't think Becky had a cat. There's a cat out my window. And I'm laying there and I realized.
Look at me just sitting over with my feet up. Like I'm the queen.
We got ready and headed to Pier 39 for the beginning of the day, as on our second day we were heading to Alcatraz, the prison that the most dangerous prisoners were kept at, which I actually did not know prior to coming. Or that there were like 50 movies filmed about this place. It's crazy. I really had no idea about the San Francisco Bay Area, really about Northern California, besides that the Golden Gate Bridge was here. But in all honesty, I really loved the Bay Bridge a little bit more than the Golden Gate. But the city was really cool on the inside too. I'm not a huge city gal, but the city was very eclectic and glassy. It was all beautiful to witness and to see. You can see the traffic here. It definitely was no joke. We enjoyed spending our time together in the car. This was on our way to Pier 39. We parked in the garage there for the day and then just walked down to where you would catch the ferry over to Alcatraz after. Yeah, they must be over there. Could we look any more touristy?
What do you think gives it away?
The hillbilly. Well, now you could swim that far in
We walked around up top. It was so cool to see the city from this angle and to be near the seals. I loved them so much. We bought most of our souvenirs here. It was crazy. I was just telling them that I always get magnets wherever I go somewhere. That is my item that I collect. And the very first magnet store was there at Pier 39. So I thought that was really cool. But we just walked around as it is a very big pier, and we grabbed some lunch prior to walking down to the Alcatraz cruise. We just got some fried food and walked on down. It's about a 10-minute walk, not too bad. We took the 12:30 cruise over to Alcatraz. You can go over and then really stay however long you want. You just have to watch for the ferries to come back, and then they'll take you back over. But going on, you have to wait in this long line, and then it takes you over. It's really not a long ferry over, and the boat is so big that you can't really feel the waves, and it's nice to see the bay from the water, I will say. If you don't go to Alcatraz, I would highly suggest just getting on a boat if you can, because getting that view is so special and beautiful. It was really amazing to arrive to the island, as there was a lot of history here that I had no idea about, like the Native American political activist that came here and overtook this island in 2008. And that was really the last civilization to live on this island, besides the prisoners. But I was just so fascinated by that, and I'm still learning more and more about that, but I just thought that was really cool.
Park are celebrating our 50th anniversary as a whole park, which is pretty cool, especially when you take into consideration just all the sites that fall within our park. What I mean by that is, if you were to look out to the bridge and notice on the left side, there's kind of like a really interesting arch. Right underneath it, you're gonna notice a little brick building known as Fort Point. That is part of our park. The Presidio and Christie Field, all part of our park. Even on the other side of the bridge, we have Bird Headlands and Muir Woods and all that stuff, part of our park. So as you can kind of see what feels like such a small little site right here, highly encouraged to check out all these sites just to kind of get and learn all. But it's very interesting to kind of think about just the diverse history that is on this island. There is a much deeper history, considering the fact that at a time this was known as Fort Alcatraz, because underneath Alcatraz we have the remnants of a Civil War era fort. Not much is really known because we don't really highlight that as much, but that's why I highly encourage really investigate just the different hidden stories we have here, especially when you start going all throughout the island. One of those by the name of Al Capone. When he was tried and convicted and they were going to start shipping him out here to Alcatraz, they realized, given that he had quite a few connections, that it wasn't going to be just quite easy putting him on a boat and shipping him out here. So what they did is they loaded him into a train car, picked up the train car put the train car on the tracks all the way over here. But when they came over here and it came trying to going from the mainland to over here, they realized, well, this.
And so the story goes that the ghost train was actually put onto a barge and then put over and shipped to the island. You know how barges work. They just by a tugboat. And that is how he got over here. So freaking fascinating. I didn't know that he was kept here. And there were some other prisoners that they had pictures of all around, was history of what this place used to function as and what it was. I honestly would have really loved being there, but I kept saying that I think that the true torture of being kept here was being surrounded by all of the beautiful land that you could see that you just could not get to because it was such a small island. This place was gorgeous. I could not imagine it functioning as a society, but it did at one point. It is a fairly steep incline to climb up to the prison top. If you have any sort of special needs that you need help getting up there, they can help assist you as well. I soaked in and enjoyed all of the views as we did walk up to the prison. It's a windy road with honestly some of the best views of the bay that you'll get. The Alcatraz Lighthouse was the first lighthouse on the Pacific coast and has been in operation since 1854. You could buy a booklet there for $1 that did give you a bunch of these fun facts that I really did enjoy learning and being able to actually see and witness this. There were only 4 wardens, which I thought was so interesting, but the place was only open, for maybe 20 years. The cell house was never actually full to its full capacity, where there is 336 cells available. The average number of prisoners that stayed here was around 260, but the max at one point was 302. They had the cells here of the inmates that had escaped from Alcatraz, which I did not really know. Like I said before, I had no real knowledge before we came here. And I was really in awe experiencing this history because it was really my first time in a prison, and to see one this old and at this scale was really kind of creepy and eerie. So if you're into that kind of stuff, go as well. But altogether, it was really interesting to see this. And now, having watched Escape from Alcatraz, seeing this section from the D block, this is where they kept the most insane people. It's pretty wild. Speaking on the Escape from Alcatraz, this was the recreation yard where a lot of that movie was filmed, which was so interesting. This was like really the outside area the prisoners were allowed to be in, as the families who lived on the island claimed they hardly ever locked their doors while living here. Kinda creepy to me, but it was known that the food here was actually really, really good. If you fed them well, they did not get as hangry and they stayed pretty calm. This was the menu for the last day that the prison was actually in function. As the prisoners were not the only ones to hold a space on this island, the Native American activist, occupied Alcatraz a total of 3 times. The first time in 1964, they stayed for just 4 hours, and then the next time in 1969, a small group landed here and claimed it and named it Indians of All Tribes. They landmarked it. The full-scale operation began 11 days later on November 20th and lasted for 19 months until they eventually pretty much died out, as they could no longer supply themselves with enough food to live. They did offer to buy Alcatraz for 24 beads, colored cloth, and other trade goods. They submitted this to the federal government, which did not take the offer. Please enjoy this nice ASMR ride back to the city.
San Francisco's architecturally stunning Civil War building. A short trip across the bay takes you to
The streets literally go up that way. I mean, it's literally how.
When we arrived on the island, we had to walk back down to Pier 39, and it was definitely booming by the afternoon. There were a lot of tourists around, and the shops and eateries were all pumping, and it was really great to see and interact with all of these people, mainly tourists. But I really enjoyed this day and being able to experience Alcatraz and Pier 39. I don't think it's talked about enough, but all of these things and these touristy sites were amazing to see, but what I really truly loved the most was just being with my family. I don't think that we take enough time to just be with the ones that we love and to truly embrace them and to get to see them be happy and out and about. And I just truly loved being able to spend time with my family. Becky has lived in California my entire life, so being able to actually go out and visit her was truly special. Laura had never done it. My mom had never done it. And so for us to be together and to be in this world with Becky was just so amazing. I know that my mom doesn't look like it, but I swear she had the best time of her life as well. We all did. It was just so lovely to be together. Even when we had to sit in the car, it was so much fun. We had the best time. We laughed so much and we loved so freaking hard. We literally had so much fun that we planned a family reunion so that we could all get back together and have a specific date that we could be together. I don't know if that's crazy or just us, but that's how we are, and that's how we live. That's how we love to live. It's the best way to live.